tend to think maybe, oh, we did one thing that triggered the pain off or the problem off, but generally it's our habitual movements, so the things that we do all the time and probably quite unconsciously as well. So I know for me, particularly in my teenage years, you know, a bit stroppy, standing there, hip jutting out, you know, when I was a little bit older and looking at boys, boobs out, bum sticking out, all this stuff, you know, especially the giving yourself the fake bum, it really puts quite a strong impact on the lower spine, as maybe you can notice, you know, sitting into the hip in this way, it's putting the hip joint out of alignment, it's putting the knees out of their correct position as well. And these are the things, maybe not so exaggerated, but these are the little things that you could look out for if you do have something going on in the hips and around the knees and in the lower back. This sort of stuff can really help to alleviate your pains. Maybe not instantly, maybe it will be instantly, but no, these little things here, I learned them as well. Let me just adjust this so you can see my feet. But yeah, this is the stuff I had learned. One of them was when I was getting quite a lot of pain in my lower back, so I was overextending the knees, which means I was pushing back quite strongly. The knees are kind of, I can feel a stretch in the back of my leg as I do this, and what this does, it kind of puts the spine a bit into extension as well. So you can just soften the knees. Softening the knees is a great way to release that tightness out from the lower back and to give you a bit of release in the lower back. The other thing I would say, really watch, particularly if you've had to be standing for a long time, is the balance in your feet. So maybe check that you're not just leaning a bit more into one leg or the other leg. We can be aware of the feet as well, that we want the weight equally balanced through the four corners of the feet. We can find these by coming up onto the tiptoes. You can really find the front two pad, the front corners of the front foot, so that's the pad of big toe, little toe. And then also if you lift up your toes, you'll find them as well. Hopefully you've got enough room in your shoes that you can do this movement. So there's a little warm up for your feet, or just to become more aware of the feet. You can come onto your tiptoes and rest the heels down and lift up the toes, and then relax in the toes. And then if you can just notice, I'm going to stay with the feet for a minute, but if you notice when you lift up the toes, how your inner arch lifts as well. So see if you can lift up the toes and then lower them down and keep the arch in the foot. Sometimes, you know, if the legs are, or the knees are collapsing in a little, it's to do with the arches in the feet. And this is quite a nice thing to do. Like I was saying, if you was standing around, then you can do these things, take the boredom away, stop you maybe getting angry if you're waiting in a queue. Or maybe that's just me who does that. But yes, this little stuff you can do. Lifting up the toes, relaxing the toes, keeping the lift in the heel, but still keeping the weight equally balanced in the four corners of the feet. So that's the pad of the big toe, small toe, the inside, outside corners of the heel. And the other thing to watch, so we've got the knees. I wouldn't say that you'd have to bend the knees, but make sure that they're not locked out, that you're not overextending, which is sort of, yeah, pushing into the back of the knees. Make sure there's no pressure there. And then looking at the lower end of your spine, your tailbone, the coccyx, if you can point that down between your heels and just try and feel that your thigh bones are sitting in the middle of the hip joints. So it might take a bit of practice just to get used to that alignment, but the tailbone's pointing down, and that's going to give you a lot of release in your lower spine. Always we want the shoulders stacked above the hips and the head like an umbrella above the lower end of the spine. And this in itself is going to be a lot more healthy for the knees and the hips and the lower back. But just to give us a little bit more, once you've got that balance in the feet and the pelvis and everything else is in alignment, if you could imagine that there's a ball between your calves and just gently squeeze the ball, and as you do so, ever so slightly, let the thigh bones rotate outwards, so you're going to feel a bit more engaged through the inside of the legs. It might make you feel a bit more aware of also what's going on in the hip joints, and again, we're just looking to settle the bones in the middle of the joints, keeping that tailbone down. And this is a really nice movement, and it's quite strengthening as well for the ligaments in the legs.